Hi, I am Dr. Khurrum Shaukat Yusafzai. Today's video is about Sealab 3 in order to test helium plus oxygen deep sea saturation diving more than 50 years ago in February of 1969. In 1942, Albert R. Behnke proposed the use of helium plus oxygen in saturation diving. So in 1957, Doctors George Bond and Robert Workman and Medical Service Officer Walter Mazzone began to do experiments by using the Sealab. So basically, three Sealabs were made: Sealab 1, 2, and 3. These labs were established on near the seafloor, dangling from a ship. So Sealab 1 was established in 1964. And Sealab 2 was established in 1965 and Sealab 3 was established in 1967. So these Sealabs were made to test the new diving suits. Like the new diving suit was made, which basically had water and electrical heating system, as well as new breathing system which would use helium plus oxygen. And this actually was very revolutionary, and this was the beginning of the use of helium plus oxygen for really deep diving. In the Sealab 3, the aim was to go to 600 feet, which is around 186 meters. In the Sealab 2, they had gone up to 400 feet. So on the February of 1969, something happened that didn't go well, and let us talk about that, because there is a mystery associated with it for last 50 years and nobody knows about it. What was the cause of this incident or accident? The Sealab was dangled from the mothership USS Elk River, also known as IX-501. From the ship, a long cable or a supply cable which would supply the oxygen as well as electricity equal to 440 volts, and also the communication system went through that cable. Sealab was dangled at the bottom of the sea. This is the Sealab in the yellow color, as you can see. And the Mark 8 and Mark 9. Mark 9 was a new modified set with semi-closed rebreathers that were being used, and it was won by more than 45 very expert divers. Helium was inert and noble gas that was used in 1924 and 1939 by the US Navy, but actually more experiments were needed, for which Sealab 1, 2, and 3 was made. In order to go down to the Sealab, they used PTC, Personal Transfer Capsule. So this was an interesting piece of machinery. This was built by the Northrop Company, the US defense contractor. The to look at the diving, they used Westinghouse Deep Star 400 submarine to observe from a distance what was really happening. So on that fateful day of 15th February 1969, the Personal transfer capsule, as you can see, was dangled from the ship, and the divers were told to go down to the Sealab. The leadership was headed by the Deep Submerged System, DSSP, which is the Naval Research Department, which performed the research on this thing. And the leaders was the one on the left, and there was a captain, and there were two commanders. One of them was Commander M. Scott Carpenter, who was Deputy On-Scene Commander and Special Assistant for Aquanaut Operation. The basic in charge was the captain with his hand on the Sealab model, Captain William M. Nicholson, and Commander Jack M. Tomsky and Scott Carpenter were the both under him responsible for the dives. So there was basically dive 1 and dive 2 planned for the day. Dive 1 happened without any incident. And then after the dive 1, the divers were really cold because with the helium gas, the cooling was very rapid. So in order to offset the cooling, they were testing a kind of diving set like the Mark 9 and Mark 8, which were using hot water for heating and also electrical current for the heating. And the whole Sealab was supplied by electric cable, which you can see over there. And because of this electric cable going down and having such high electricity over there, the aquanauts or the divers were exposed to electricity. Although there was protection measures like grounding was done, but on that fateful day, there was something going wrong with the grounding. One of the aquanaut was Barry Lewis Cannon, on whose name there is a Aqua Services. He also came in the Rolex ad. So this guy at that day was working with his fellow aquanaut Richard Blackie or Richard Blackburn. So together they were in the same working space, although there were a total of 45 divers which were divided in groups of 5. But at that time, Richard Blackburn was actually working with him. So because of the helium gas has a property of leaking, there was a lot of leaking happening in that supply cable. And because of this reason and bad construction and quality control issues from the contractors, Mr. Cannon, Barry L. Cannon, was exposed to electric current because the grounding was not done properly, or the leaking of the helium caused the grounding to malfunction, which resulted in current going, and he was electrocuted. This is known as electric shock drowning. So for 50 years, people didn't know about this, that the actual reason for his death was electric shock, and his teeth were clenched so tightly that the other divers had difficulty giving him oxygen. They thought he's convulsing because of carbon dioxide in his body, or because of some other reason like hypoxia, because there were a lot of suspicious activity occurring on that day too, like cutting off the oxygen supply to the decompression chambers. Historically, the medical doctors could not reach them because they were in another decompression chamber, and they were transferred to the another chamber. But that was immaterial because the poor aquanaut Barry L. Cannon had lost his life. And on 17th February, they also noticed that the generators on the mothership, they also mysteriously shut off when the Sealab was lifted from the bottom of the sea, and it caused malfunction and blowing up of fuses and alarms going on. So at that time, the incident was recorded, as you can see. I just showed you. So Barry Cannon was a family man, and he was a talented aquanaut. The US Board of Inquiry was held. They wanted to know what was the reason of death at 600 feet, equal to 186 meters. The Board of Inquiry was actually looking for a single point of failure. Initially, it was attributed to Cannon himself having a heart attack. Later, they claimed it was CO2 poisoning, and there was an empty canister found, for which they actually blamed Paul Wells. Paul P.A. Wells, a decorated World War III Purple Heart winner, Marine Corps veteran. So that was the talk of the court martial, and poor Paul A. Wells got the blame for it, and he died thinking, because of his giving an empty canister, his poor Econaut fellow lost his life. But now, after 50 years, the new research has unveiled this was not the case, because of the bad quality control and bad equipment which was provided by Northrop and not identified by the commander who was in charge, or the project manager. So the poor chief was given an offer to leave the job, and he accepted it. And in 1971, the Sealab 3 was scuttled, and it was the flame cutters cut it into pieces, and it was changed into scrap. Nobody bothered to look at it and find the real reason. But now we know the real responsibility lies with Captain William M. Nicholson, the Sealab 3 project manager, the one on the left, along with his two commanders like Commander Jack M. Tomsky and Commander M. Scott Carpenter, because these people were not divers, and their knowledge of diving was really poor. They were good in their naval warfare, but they were not divers, and it is recommended that deep sea divers and doctors, hyperbaric doctors, should actually be commanders of this kind of operations. Northrop Corporation was giving valuable input, which was also ignored. So the conclusion is that the Barry cannon died from electrocution rather than carbon dioxide poisoning. And Paul A. Wells should be exonerated. I hope you enjoyed my video. I want you to like my video and also subscribe to my channel for such informative videos about hyperbaric medicine, which is very rare, and I'm one of the very few doctors in the world who is trying to explain about hyperbaric medicine, which is completely new. So I hope you subscribe to my channel. Take care. Goodbye. See you soon.